Hi everybody, we are back once again with another Plan With Me video. Today I am bringing you, once again, a kind of late setup. This is my March bullet journal. I am writing out the month in the Animal Crossing font. I spent a little bit of time outside of my bullet journal figuring out how this font works and where to put those little accents on the letters, so you can definitely try this with any month that you want. I know these videos come usually towards the end of the month, unfortunately, but if you think, hey, this is a cute theme, I want to do it for April, totally go for it. I think just take a little bit of time to figure out how the letters are supposed to look, and then plop them in your bullet journal. I made this cute little clock thing that's always in the Animal Crossing packaging for the games, so I just added that clock in and I outlined the month. And to make the calendar, I first went in and I added all these little fruits. So you know the fruits usually have like two tones, so the top of it is usually the main color and then there's like an accent color on the bottom. So I went in and I added all that first, and I just sort of sporadically put them around in pretty evenly spaced spaces on the calendar. And then I went and I drew in the calendar itself, and once I had all the lines drawn in, then I added some yellow dots in the corner where I would put the numbers for the days of the month. I also added in the days of the week at the top, again in the Animal Crossing font. This font's actually pretty easy to learn. I think it just takes a little bit of practice to get used to it. I was showing my friend Elena the mood tracker for my February bullet journal, and I had all these little pictures of peaches, and she said, hey, those look like Animal Crossing fruit, and I was like, hey, I could totally make an Animal Crossing themed bullet journal. Now I will say at the time when I came up with this idea, I, number one, had not played any of the Animal Crossing games besides New Leaf, which I honestly have not been like amazing at. I think I like just discovered the island after 3 years of playing it, so that tells you how good at that game I am. But I actually recently did get New Horizons, and it's been so fun. It's so cute and very relaxing, and a great way to also listen to my audiobooks when I kind of want to zone out. So I thought it would be really cute to incorporate a lot of the different things that are in Animal Crossing into this theme. I am making my habit trackers, and these backgrounds that I printed out are actually the letters that you can send to your fellow neighbors, your villagers, and I thought it would be really cute to actually turn those into these little tracker calendars instead. And then on the bottom, I'm drawing a bunch of balloons and presents, because oftentimes you'll see a balloon floating overhead, and if you knock it down, then you can get the present inside. It took me so long in New Leaf to understand that I needed an extra tool to do that, because I thought maybe if I just like threw my fishing rod up there, something would happen. I did not understand that I was missing the slingshot for so long. I got like nothing done in New Leaf, and for New Horizons, I hit the ground running. I spent like 4 hours the first day playing that game, even though I couldn't even do anything really. And you'll see on the right side that I drew a whole bunch of fruit, and the reason for that is because every time that I run and I get 10,000 steps in a day, then I will fill in fruit. I added in a little thing that says videos, and there I can write down the different videos that I want to make specifically for this month. If you play New Horizons, you know that sometimes you get little recipes that tell you how to do something yourself, and that's kind of what videos are, aren't they? Okay, we are moving right along and making our expense tracker. So you know I had to bring Mr. Tom Nook in here. Tom Nook, of course, is the tanuki that is always asking you for money. And I mean, I guess he helps you rebuild your house and expand it and everything, but money! I basically just wrote out expenses in the classic Animal Crossing font, and I made those nice little highlighted lines to write everything out in. I added again the date, item type, and amount on that side, and on the right side I have a little picture again of Mr. Tom Nook, and it says, I am once again asking you for your bells. Always a favorite meme of mine. And I have this little picture of a house that I think is on the original merchandise, and also a picture of an island. That is not what my island looks like. It is literally just a random one that I pulled out because, again, at the time when I started planning this video, I had never played Animal Crossing New Horizons, so I didn't even know what that was. Up next is the TBR page. So I drew a nice 20-sided dice, and instead of what I did last time where I just wrote out all of the different titles that I was going to read for each roll, I drew a bookshelf, and I also drew a little Kindle on it because one of these was an ebook, and I just basically wrote out the names of all the books on the spines, and when I actually complete these books, I'll just color them in the same color as the actual book itself. And I also just added in these little arrows to show what each title corresponds to as far as the rolls. So for instance, I ran my spin the bottle minigame as part of the dice game, and I ended up landing on mystery boxes, so I just added that little arrow to show this is why I'm reading that. Underneath that I have the leftover section, which is everything that I didn't get to last month that I still want to read. So I just kind of drew a little cute platter with a person's hand underneath like they're serving it to the table, and I wrote out all of them with a checkbox next to them so I could just check them off whenever I finished them. Up next are book clubs. I'm really only a part of 2 book clubs consistently meeting every single month, but there are a whole bunch of other book clubs that I was really interested in, or some read-alongs that I really wanted to participate in, so I included those as well under the book club section. And then I have my buddy reads with a bunch of friends. And then I have readathons on the right side. There's the Breezy Hollow readathon, which is actually an Animal Crossing themed readathon. And the Tinkerbell readathon that I helped to host along with a bunch of other friends. And that one actually just wrapped up. The BTS readathon is actually still going on. That lasts until the end of the month. So I still have a couple more that I need to read from that section. But you'll see in a minute that I am going through and I am checking off the different things that I've read and coloring in the books on the shelves that I actually have completed at this point in the month. And I'm also adding an others section. I just sort of forgot to add these before, but these are other books that just don't really fall into the other categories, but they're still on my radar for the month. I don't know what you guys named your island, if you happen to have Animal Crossing New Horizons, but I named my island Gerald because I think that's super funny. I love naming stuff random human names, and I just think it's a great joke. It's great humor. On the next page, I am building my reading tracker. I included this little note that I found online. It says, "Did you know that books are just a bunch of letters? And there's only, I gotta count. Okay, there's only 104 letters. How do they make such big books with that few letters? Words are weird." From Zucker. I thought that was just so fitting. And then I built my reading tracker. So you may have seen this before in my February bullet journal setup, but what I like to do is write out the days of the month that are left over in the top portion, and I will write out the titles that I have left to read. Now, I know what you're thinking. Rachel, this is an insane number of books that you would still have to read for the rest of the month. Are you crazy? Do you have a full-time job? And the answer to both of those are yes, I am, and I do. But I like to set very high goals for myself, and that's why I am the way I am. So I am still including all of them. When I read a book, what I'll do is I will draw a cute little flower onto that day, and for the days that I actually finish those books, I just add a little leaf to that flower on that day. Now I'm also adding a monthly faves section. I like to just talk about different things that really were great moments in the month, things I really enjoyed that month. I have already added stuff like Parks and Recreation and Netflix's A Series of Unfortunate Events TV show because they are both incredible and bringing me so much joy this month, and I'm sure that I'll have even more things to fill in throughout the rest of the month in the next week and a half. Now I am building a weekly setup, so yes, this is not coming to you at the beginning of the month, and therefore I am not planning the beginning of the month. I am only planning the weeks that I actually think I'm going to use this bullet journal for. These are the classic things that you'll see in Animal Crossing, some of the fruit, some bells, a present, and I think also the turn up on Sunday just makes sense. If you know, you know. And I also just added in a little picture of what it looks like when you have a bunch of stuff in your pocket. Maybe you're thinking about selling it at the store. So I just thought it would be a nice touch to add on top of everything else. So up next, I am making these 4 rectangles per page, and I basically just sort of mapped this out based on some measurements that I took before. I would recommend kind of checking out what you want to do with your bullet journal in pencil first, so that way you don't run out of any space. And then I broke out the Prisma colors. I decided to use color pencil because I thought marker was definitely going to bleed through to the next page. And if you do play New Horizons, then you might notice that this looks kind of familiar for when you get miles. So if you complete certain activities, then you get miles for doing those things. So what I've done here is really I just made each of these boxes and I kind of colored them in according to the actual mile boxes. And I did originally write these in with different dates, thinking that this was going to be a weekly tracker. And later on I was like, you know what, I don't like that. So I cut out these pieces of paper and I just glued them on top of all of those dates, and I colored over them after gluing them down and sort of redid those headers. And instead what I've done is I have turned this into another milestone tracker. I don't really like to do channel milestones or anything like that, but I thought it would be a nice way to sort of keep track of other things. So the things that I've ended up including on this page are things like go walking, hosting live reading sprints, treating myself, making new videos and releasing them to you, pre-filming videos, reading 5 physical books because that is really, really hard for me versus a regular audiobook. And the last one is cleaning my room because it is about time, and I think that these are kind of different from the habit trackers because it's not really about the consistent progress, which I can track on my habit tracker page, but this is more of like you only fill it in when you truly accomplish it, and I think hopefully that will keep me a little bit motivated to keep going. So this next page is very similar to the previous one. Instead of that horizontal layout, I made it vertical. So now I have this as a full layout for the entire week, and there are only 3 days left in the month, so I made more of a scattered spread for the last 3 days since I did not need a full weekly spread, and I just played around with where I wanted to put these different images that I printed out. These are not from my town because I have still only played maybe like 9 days of Animal Crossing altogether, but I thought this would be so cute to include this kind of like ticket stationery that I have and just add all the colors together with these different images, and I'm pretty happy with how it all turned out. And I included a little section to talk about what's coming next month so I don't have to wait until I inevitably put off making April spreads to figure out what I'm doing in the next coming month. So now it's time for the final flip through. Let's look at it together. I really, really like how this theme overall came out. I'm pretty proud of how it all turned out, but I would say it is a little bit time consuming. So if you're thinking about making this for any month, which you definitely can, you can adapt this for any month, I would definitely recommend that you take some time and try to plan this out a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit ahead of time. I hope you enjoyed this video and you have fun planning out your month in the next coming days. Let me know what you planned out for your next monthly spread. And don't forget, it is never ever too late, which is what I'm going to keep telling myself as I keep making these videos. But thank you so much for watching, for tuning in, and for spending some time with me. If you like content like this, or content not really like this, I have content on my channel. So if you would like to, you can definitely subscribe down below with that big red button. And don't forget to leave a like if you like this kind of thing. That's basically it from me. I'm Rachel. This is Let Me in the Library, and I'll see you next time.